come and work.
After school most weekdays, Kraiz Kayastha attends this tutorial center in the Kowloon neighborhood of Jordan.
Okay, brothers is focusing on study.
In Hong Kong, many tutorial centers help students stay on top of a demanding workload. But for Kraiz, this center is his lifeline. He's enrolled in a local primary school where lessons are taught in Cantonese. For the past 6 years, almost every day has been an uphill battle.
我嘅名係 Kraiz， 我係12歲。I don't really understand Chinese, so I just speak in English most of the time.
Kraiz is Nepalese by ethnicity, but was born in Hong Kong. His mother was also born in the city, but lived in Nepal for years. She said returning to her birthplace was a difficult transition.
I've been housewife for a long time. I work as a waitress, so many work I did, but I didn't choose to do that. I want to work in an office, it's a dream job. But when I come here, that dream didn't come true, and I got rejected from so many places. Only because I'm not proficient in Cantonese.
Chandra worried her 3 sons would face the same problems, so she enrolled them in a school where they would be taught in Chinese. But over the years, that decision proved to be a burden.
I saw so many parents they are withdrawing their kids from that school because that one is totally in Chinese. They have to study mathematics, GS, everything in Chinese. So he will bring back that homework at home and I have to help him. Otherwise he might get scolded. He doesn't want to go back to sleep. So we just use a Google translator. If we can't help it, I just let him write all the answer in English.
The 2021 Hong Kong population census found almost 1 in 10 people identified as non-ethnic Chinese. Studies have linked ethnic minorities from developing nations with the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum. Experts also seem to agree that knowing Chinese improves chances of getting into universities here and, as a result, scoring a better paying job. So why isn't Chinese easier to learn in schools? Integrated Brilliant Education Limited, or IBEL, is a charity that aims to raise Chinese proficiency among the non-Chinese speaking, or NCS, community, or just enough to facilitate a smooth transition into schools where Chinese is the medium of instruction. IBEL currently has almost 300 pupils, including Kraiz.
Everyone, is this more?
Founder Manoj Dar says Chinese medium schools are preferred by underprivileged non-ethnic Chinese families. He has accused teachers and education officials of what he says is a long cycle of blaming children for not understanding Chinese. He also says the misconceptions are only reinforced in the media.
They are not on the same side. The children are definitely not on that side, because what the children are saying is that the way I am hearing the language being taught to me, or the way I am looking up to my teacher to teach me, that is what is making it difficult for me. And if I haven't learned the language and I'm constantly told that this is not your native tongue and you're not going to learn it, so of course repetitively it gets into my head and said, I don't think I'm going to be able to pick up the language.
After Hong Kong's handover from the British in 1997, the Education Bureau forced most schools to teach in Chinese instead of English. During those years, another EDB policy put NCS students in so-called designated schools. In theory, these schools were meant to serve as models for teaching NCS students to be later adopted in the wider local school system. But in practice, the policy was heavily criticized by concern groups like Hong Kong Unison and the Equal Opportunities Commission. They accused the government of enforcing de facto racial segregation. The EDB ended the policy in 2013 and asked all schools to admit more NCS kids. But 10 years on, former designated schools still take in a disproportionate number of non-ethnic Chinese students. The Education Bureau has declined a request for comment.
They are tagging kids. They are segregating kids. They are discriminating against kids. That is what is not right. That is what is morally incorrect.
How are they doing that?
Because you are specifically telling a child from the get-go, so from the kindergarten, the child who's not a Chinese will somehow get mainstreamed into an ethnic minority school or an ethnic minority kindergarten. So you never have realistically, you never have a realistic shot at even being given the opportunity to learn at the same pace.
IBEL tutor Madiha Khan graduated from the local school system. Khan grew up with a Cantonese-speaking father and is herself fluent in the language. She recalled how students in her primary school Chinese classes were divided based on their proficiency.
Even if you go to kindergarten, primary school or secondary school, it's only the basic Chinese wherever you go. Like in secondary school, they'll just assume that you learn basic Chinese, so you learn no Chinese, so like they'll teach you the basic Chinese. While like in primary school, they have the same image, like you don't know Chinese, you're NCS like non-Chinese speaking student, so they will start labeling you that. If you're a foreign student, then they'll try to teach you basic Chinese only. Once like they start to learn that, the gap between the local students and the non-Chinese speaking students widens.
She answered. She said she's on her way.
Done. Thank God. Let's go.
The ratio of NCS students to the whole student population has been growing steadily over the past 2 decades. At the same time, government funding earmarked for Chinese enhancement programs doubled over the past 10 years. The grant amounted to 500 million Hong Kong dollars in the 2021-2022 school year. Yet the proportion of NCS students sitting for Chinese exams has been falling. In 2021, the Education Bureau conducted an audit of its support measures for NCS students. It found that when schools were meant to submit related proposals and reports, there were often delays. The EDB also said schools were not proactive in making use of NCS grants. Despite this, recent official surveys have concluded that even more government funding was needed. Dar hit back, saying the issue was not a question of money, but one of accountability. He suggested the EDB enforce clearer performance targets to keep schools in check.
The child is just a child. And how and why we continue to not prioritize the children, how and why we continue to not, empower the kids and encourage the kids and nurture the kids, that is the biggest obstacle. And the fact that over time it has become monetized and more money has got spent on it and more money has got spent on it, it's very disheartening.
Delia Memorial School has sat in this alley in Meifu District for more than 50 years. It lost its status as a designated school when the policy ended in 2013, but today, the Delia group of schools still admits mostly non-ethnic Chinese students. Frankie Wong teaches in the primary section of the school. She says they no longer separate pupils based on fluency.
According to our new curriculum, you can see that all the students stay in together and then they can learn from Chinese. They can just learn model, show them how to speak Chinese, and then because of the student, they can answer some question so that they can understand more easily. So this is the difference between the new curriculum and the old one.
But Wong also believes that success largely comes down to the individual child.
Actually, just depends on your attitude. If you really want to learn, if you're willing to learn, and you know why you need to learn, I think they will try their best to do it.
William Zheng oversees Delia's kindergarten section, where non-ethnic Chinese pupils are also the majority. Zheng himself graduated from Delia's primary and secondary school sections. He says that schools alone can't help NCS students achieve fluency.
For some families, their parents know Cantonese, they speak Cantonese a lot. Of course, they have other chance to use Cantonese. But for most of the non-Chinese speaking students, when they leave the school, actually they have no way to learn it. Yeah, that's why the EDB would suggest we use more Cantonese here. But the point is still, what is more? Is it 2 hours of Cantonese enough for a child to build up the skill? It's not the case. When you ask a lot of non-Chinese speaking adults, yeah, when did you learn Cantonese? Oh, when I play outside. Yeah, in basketball courts, and when we play soccer or football outside, and we've got friends, so we learn from them, not from the school.
Kraiz Kayastha attends the same school as his older brother Kraiz. he still has 3 more years to go before he can graduate to secondary school. They, along with their youngest brother Zorden, all attend IBEL.
Shall we read the sentence together? Okay.
Their mother says that she sent her 2 older boys to the center too late. She hopes that with Zorden, things will be different.
He can say the fruit name in English and Chinese. That's a good good example for myself, that if I put them push them earlier when they start to study in tuition or something like center, then they will learn faster. Then going to P1 and trying to study, it's very hard for them, because when the root is strong, then they will bloom, right? Something like that. I feel like that.
So do your teachers know that you cannot speak Chinese?
Yeah.
Do they? What do they do to help you? It's okay.